Welcome to Golden Mastermind Seminars Radio with your host, Jeffrey Combs.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jeffrey Combs, bringing a youthful look to Facebook Live this afternoon. The content today will be gold, so good to be here with you. It is a privilege and pleasure to be here with you on a beautiful, bright, sunny, it looks like spring day, even though it's January. So I reside in Central California, formerly referred to as Northern California, but I refuse to call it Central California or Northern California anymore. Jared, good to see you, my brother. It's an honor to have you as the first participant in today's Facebook Live. So if you're in that office, Jared, you and Alexis, this content is gold. And Alexis, it was so good to meet you in person in December. Mark Andres, good to see you. I am deeply honored to be the coach of your son, and he is crushing it. That is Jose Andres, who is crushing it on Facebook. I commented on his video today. Kevin, always good to see you on today's Facebook Live. So both Kevin and Jared have met at my Millionaire Blueprint events. So Jared, say hello to Kevin. Kevin, say hello to Jared. Juan, good to see you this afternoon. I see the Waxman team is absolutely showing up here this afternoon. So good to see all of you. And Jared, thank you for running that office and being just a top tier professional. Ryan, good to see you this afternoon. Joshua, good to see you this afternoon. So Josh and Yuritsa Waxman's team is absolutely showing up because big time players show up in big time games. So Wayne Clark, good to see you, my brother. Wayne, an honor to be your coach. Wayne's followed me for 12 years, Wayne, 12 years. That's 2 5s and a 2, Wayne, baby. Going back to Boston. I remember when you were in my event in Boston in 2013, back in the VEMA days. I saw Tony on today's Facebook Live, Joshua. We're going to step right into the content today. So for those of you who have been athletes before and are now business owners, and I see Dave Johnson. Dave Johnson is joining me. For those of you who do not know Dave Johnson, you will meet Dave at my Millionaire Blueprint. He will be speaking at my event. Dave is a rock star direct sales professional, a multiple 6-figure monthly income earner for many, many years. He is on today's Facebook Live. So Dave, give me a wave, my brother, if you can. Dave was my client going back to 2006 through 2008, living in beautiful Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, or in that area at the time. Sarah, good to see you. And Jared said absolutely. So this was the syllabus that I wrote myself. For those of you who are on my email list, here it is. Quitting is not an option. And so that is a standard term. That's an entrepreneurial term that is applicable. Rosalinda, good to see you. Quitting is not an option is an applicable term in all walks of life. So if you're an addict in recovery, so relapsing is not an option. It would be the same metaphor. So when you own a business, especially if you're new to the business, it's important that you are patient and you understand that there's very little instant gratification when you own a business. When you've been conditioned by the trauma-based mind control world to get a job, and you're the monkey in the cage, you get your food every 2 weeks. So even in commission sales and many corporate jobs, they will take your commissions away from you, or they'll cut your commissions because you're making too much gold. They don't want you to make gold. They want you to make copper. So they will take your commissions away. Wayne knows all about this. So you can go out and just absolutely crush a territory, grow the territory, and then they'll slash your commissions because you are making too much money for the company's store. And this is why you are in free enterprise. So let's everybody today, we're going to use these 2 words. So practice saying it. Use your hands. Free enterprise. I know I can't hear you, but just go ahead and say it. Free enterprise. Highly inspiring author Carlene Lewis has joined us. I endorsed Carlene's first book, Spank Your Bank. I believe that was your book, Carlene. So thank you for being here this afternoon. She is an author who is a money coach and understands the laws that govern money. So if you're on my Facebook Live here this afternoon, this content is gold because I am covering what is required to be in free enterprise so that you can create what the free market will bear where there are no limitations. So for those of you in Josh's team, you've seen David Hammer, who was my client for 10 years, join your team. and he brought to the table a book of existing business. And then in a relatively short period of time, he was able to be compensated a large commission. Now, that is an anomaly because he's been paying dues for 30 plus years on Wall Street and is a graduate of the University of Michigan and has been in the financial world for years. And there's no accident that I'm his coach and Josh is his broker. So this becomes the trifecta of the win-win situation. Now, for those of you who are brand new to free enterprise, it's very important that you anchor yourself in business, and your first year or two typically isn't a windfall year. And it's important you be comfortable with this. There's two industries in direct selling where you can do possibly relatively well in your first year or two, and that's insurance and real estate, but you still have to pay your dues because real estate pays in advance commission products. You can sometimes be able to find that type of signature client or that franchise client that you can roll into a product that will compensate you. But most of your projects and most of your business is going to be smaller proportions, and you're going to just chip away at the foundation of free enterprise. And it's important, once again, that you be patient. That's number one. If you're going to own a business and quitting is not an option, you may have to go a year or two on minimal commissions like me. I have waited tables. I have done whatever I had to do. I've worked 2 jobs, waited tables. I've sold everything I own to pay to play the game. Now, you don't have to hit rock bottom. I did on several occasions. It's not a prerequisite, but sometimes it is necessary as you run the table on business ventures. Now, Dave Johnson is on today's Facebook Live. He and I were both professional network marketers running the tables between the 80s and the 90s on companies that were going out of business. And I've attracted a few of those where I didn't get paid my commission, company went out of business. And not only that, I lost all credibility with people in my circle of influence. So that people wouldn't join me in a business after 2 or 3 failures back to back, which relegated me to learning how to create leads in a colder market. And also, there isn't one person that I ever went to college with or I went to high school with, and I was an honorable mention all-state athlete. There isn't one person that I played athletics against or with. I played college basketball. No one from my college basketball team ever joined me. Not one person from my family ever joined me. And so I built my businesses from a cold market. That was from bump into. That's an old term. Like you bump into someone and get their phone number. 3-foot rule. That means waiter, waitress, ask for the phone number. Newspaper ads. I've written hundreds of newspaper ads, and I just wrote some newspaper ads for a person just this week. Sports-minded. I refuse to let you fail. Sports-minded. Successful business owner seeks like-minded success seeker, money-motivated team player ready to create results now. So, sports-minded is a caption that's going to attract an athlete. You can use that in multiple social media sites. This is a tip for today's Facebook Live. It's called gold. So that's what you do. The first situation you do is you commit to your success because quitting is not an option. So that means if I have to wait tables, sling hash. Now, I didn't want to bartend, but I would wait tables if I had to. I would work 2 sales jobs if I had to because I was committed to being a millionaire so that I could live a good life. And when I was waiting tables in my 20s, I used to work in an Italian restaurant in Kansas City, and we had big hitters. So that's what we would call them. A big hitter was also a big tipper. So if one of our big hitters would set on our stations, we'd go, we got a hitter. And we get a bad tipper, it was called a Hoosier. That was in reference to someone who didn't understand the laws of tipping. Tipping means in English acronyms to ensure promptness. So your dialogue with money is going to be important to be able, your creativity and innovation, to be and stay in free enterprise because quitting is not an option. On a post-it, write that down in very nice, clear lettering like this, with this right here, with a Sharpie, and post it in front of you. Quitting is not an option. And when quitting is not an option, then quitting is an option. It means that you're in it to win it, and you'll sell off everything you own to pay to play the game. Now, here's what you will not be able to do. You will not be able to whine, complain, be sensitive, be defensive, because if you do any of these, you're done. And I'll spell it for you, DONE. There's another acronym for it. It's called TOAST, TOAST, because you'll whine and complain about no one's buying from you. Your leads suck. Your warm market sucks, and everything sucks because you suck. And that's what so many people do, is they whine and complain. But when quitting is not an option, can you imagine how many people I've seen in 26 years of coaching, then add another 10 years of free enterprise business on top of that, 36 years of free enterprise? How many people I've seen start, stop, quit, come back, not commit to the process. And see, when quitting is an option, then people procrastinate. And procrastination means avoid. So the skill set is going to require focus and discipline, number one. And then secondly, preparation and execution. The execution is called smiling and dialing. That you are smiling and dialing, you're calling leads. You're calling, if you're in real estate, it's called FSBO, for sale by owners. And I've seen some of my clients before. Robbie Canfield's shown me. He knows what that is. A FSBO is a for sale by owner. It means that you reach out to someone and prospect them, and then you receive the listing. So a skilled business owner is very creative at creating leads. I have many creative ideas of how I go back and call leads. When people used to buy products online from me frequently, my downloads, I would then call every one of them and offer them a free 20-minute coaching session. I once had a list of people who bought a download from me 10 years ago, and I went back and called every one of them, and a woman that I coached in 2013 hired me on the spot, like right there. That's the innovation and creativity. I have put flyers out on cars. I did a millionaire survey when I lived in Dallas, Texas for 2 different short periods of time. I used to go to the Galleria, which was a signature mall in Dallas and Houston at the time. And they had a Neiman Marcus on one end, and they had a Saks Fifth Avenue on the end. Then it was a 4-story shopping center with a skating rink in the middle, and then multiple restaurants. And this was in the early 90s when Troy Aikman and the Dallas Cowboys ruled the NFL. And I moved to Dallas specifically to build a team in the Dallas area. So when I moved to Dallas in February of 1992, in October, I hosted an event at the Adolphus Hotel. My upline came to the event, and myself and one of my other team leaders, we put 300 people from the Dallas market in that room. That's the influence that myself and one other young man from the San Francisco Bay Area had, because quitting wasn't an option. He and I went to Chili's one day for lunch in Pleasanton, California, and I had an idea. Let's open a market in Dallas, Texas. We rented a hotel, the Hilton Arlington Hotel, right next to the ballpark at Arlington. We were able to get apartments where pilots, Robbie Canfield knows this. So I was able to get an apartment where pilots rent apartments right by DFW Airport. It's called an executive suite. So I rented an executive apartment for $700 back in the day. And then I rented a little office in Dallas, Texas. And we used to have people standing down the hallways. And I was advertising the Dallas Morning News and the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, because quitting was not an option. And it seemed like no matter how much money I made in that era, the office space, the office rent, and all the other overheads chewed it up. But that's how I developed my courage, my acceptance, my willingness, and the inner game of being a business owner. You require these experiences one day at a time. So Jared Andre moved from Salt Lake City, Utah, to Brickell, Florida, where he is today, and he is in full-time insurance business, doing the best to be his best one day at a time. The pride of Darby, Montana. Now, if you know where Darby, Montana is, that's where Jared's originally from. Darby is where they film Yellowstone. That's where the ranch Yellowstone is. Judy, thank you so much for that compliment there. And Suzanne, good to see you. Angela, good to see you. Angela, I remember you from back in the day. Charles Howell, good to see you. Topic for today's Facebook Live is quitting is not an option. Now, here's where quitting is not an option is. It's on your body in two places. The first place that quitting is not an option is right back here. So that's my right hand. Quitting is not an option. That's your limbic brain. That's your creative, innovative brain. That's where quitting is not an option. Here's where quitting is an option. Quitting is an option in your left brain. That's your analytical, egoic brain that will reason, try and make sense, and will come up with excuses and reasons to fail. The second place that quitting is not an option is right here, right there. That is your gut. And your gut is connected from your vagus nerve, which is from the neocortex of the back of your head, and it goes down your neck, around your shoulder, and around your hip, and hooks up underneath your gut. And when your vagus nerve is open, so is your pineal gland. And as you're releasing the brain fog from the trauma you've experienced through your childhood and adulthood, now you're going to be able to access both brains where quitting is not an option. But when you encounter debt, when you encounter chargebacks, when you encounter NFL, no friends left, no funds left, and not for long, is when you will be tested. You will find out what you are made of. That is called character. And their character is a quality that never goes out of fashion. It's synonymous with courage. When you have character and courage, you will not be denied. But when you lack character and courage, quitting is easy because you can go get a job. The challenge with me, as I've quit a couple times, I ran out of, I have been through so many failures. I mean, I had companies go out of business, companies lose their e-commerce account. And I had this one run for 3 years where it didn't matter what company I started, they would go out of business, they wouldn't pay me. And I lost all credibility with anyone in my circle of influence. But even then, quitting wasn't an option. I did take 6 months off, run my credit cards up, $50,000 while I was doing my best. Don Borzon, good to see you. I ran my credit cards up, $50,000 on top of the $50,000 that I invested in a company to be an ambassador in that company. I bought a position in the company that I was supposed to get an override. The company went out of business, so I lost the $50,000. I had $28,000 worth of commission checks that I couldn't cash because they were bankrupt. So that's $78,000, and then I spent 6 months and whining and complaining to myself about what I was going to do with my life until I could get back on the horse. And I answered a little ad in the USA Today in 1996. That ad parlayed into 1.8 million. That one little ad, I parlayed that into 1.8 million over a 28-month period. But that was after being a VFW, veteran of foreign wars, no, veteran of VFE, veteran of free enterprise, after 18 years of being in direct sales. I was not an overnight success. You might be, but I wasn't. Good afternoon, Jerome. Rockstar real estate agent who I had the privilege of coaching on 2 different occasions, Jerome Harmson, has joined me. So I was not an overnight success. I had a lot of success early as a coach and still had it. That's because I had paid the dues up front. Diane Hunt is joining me. Diane Hunt is not an overnight success. However, she is enjoying her most success she has ever enjoyed now because she paid the dues. I was Diane's coach in 2014 when she hired me. I coached Diane back-to-back for 6 years. She went through some of the same journey I did. Let him know, Diane, give me the fist five. Diane ran the table just like I did. She went through 3 companies back-to-back, or 2 companies back-to-back, and then landed in the right place at the right time. And for Diane right now, it's called the law of the harvest. So the law of the harvest in free enterprise is you pay your dues. Quitting isn't an option. You don't listen to the people who go, grow up, get real, stop chasing rainbows. Those, my father, them things don't work. And I have redneck relatives, and they would never join me in any business. And they would say things like that. Grow up, get real, son, stop chasing them rainbows. And here's the most famous one I heard a few times. You have to even understand the context of what this means. Get off your high horse. So horses are measured in hands. So a high horse means you're sitting on a horse that's about 17 hands high. And it's a reference that you're looking down on people, which was the last thing I was doing. I was just trying to fucking stay in business. I wasn't on a high horse. I barely had a car I could put gas in. And the car I couldn't even put gas in was a 1990 purple Honda Accord. If you remember the cartoon Barney, I used to call it the Barney Mobile because it was just embarrassing to have a Barney car with cloth interior, because at 25 years old, I bought my first Mercedes, my first BMW, and I lost all these things, all these possessions. I mean, they meant nothing to me as I was going through being a drug addict and alcoholic. Then in sobriety, I had to start over. It's called RB, rock bottom. Little apartments that are 400 square feet for $600 a month. I lived in a room in Reston, Virginia. I was renting a room for $400 a month in 1992, building a business selling homeopathic, all-natural, fruit-flavored jelly beans as an appetite suppressant. So when I say I've run the table, I have run the table. I was in a company called Nutrition for Life. Our lead product was shark cartilage, and it was sharks don't get cancer. Well, the government did not want that information out because it was produced by Kevin Lehman. If you know who he is, he got taken to task by multiple agencies for educating the people on how to address the big C word. And so the certain entities and agencies don't want us to be healthy. And so I was in one of those companies where we had a product that's so good that the company got shut down. And so these are some of the situations I've been through that you don't have to go through because you're at the right place at the right time. And it's your responsibility to recognize where you are because quitting isn't an option. So 2025 is your breakthrough year. Your breakthrough year means this is the year that you emotionally break through the anxiety, fear, and doubt that you've held on to. It means that you're letting go of trauma, bonds, panic patterns, and you're letting go of people and situations that no longer serve you. You're creating very clear boundaries about who you let whisper in your ear. You're not letting the naysayers, the doubters, you're not letting the narcissist, the perpetrators, and the violators get in your ear any longer because you have very clear boundaries. And if you have a job that doesn't reward you, you're going to have a quit date where you're no longer employed because you're not employable. You are psychologically unemployable. You're in free enterprise creating what the free market will bear. And when you have that type of grit, when you have that type of sand between your teeth, when you have that edge, that razor's edge, then when quitting isn't an option, then you will not be denied. I will not be denied. I would not quit at the end after I crossed the bridge or after going up the down staircase, where I reached a place where I would not be denied. And that is where you want to reach. I will not be denied. And when you will not be denied, you will sell off everything you own to pay to play the game. Because you understand what's at stake, and you're not willing to get a job. You're not willing to go back and do that again. You don't require 2 jobs any longer. You're going to stay in free enterprise until you master your emotions. You learn the skills, habits, and mindset of your profession. You become very skilled at letting go of doubt, and you focus on production and results, not on non-revenue producing activity. You're a recovering procrastinator, you're a producer, you're breathing, you're releasing, you're letting go, and you're skilled in free enterprise. If you're on today's Facebook Live and you would like to speak to me about my one-on-one coaching, feel free to reach out to me. I offer free 20-minute coaching calls for qualified coaching clients. So if you'd like to speak to me, go to Facebook Messenger, send me a message, or go to my website, goldenmastermind.com, and request a free 20-minute coaching sessions. Breathe, release, and let go. Have a great afternoon, everyone.